Today we're going to be working on reading and interpreting the box and whisker. So would you please make sure that you're on page 8. 11 trays have different colored balls in them. The number of balls kept in each tray is counted to make a box and whisker plot. Read and plot the answers to the questions. So before we begin, let's talk about the scale of the number line. We can see the numbers that go up by 10, and in between the little hash marks are going up by 1, so it is a scale of 1. Our first question, what is the second quartile from the plot? So before we begin talking about that, let's review some points. On a box and whisker, this first point is known as the minimum or the lower extreme. The upper point is known as the maximum or the upper extreme. And then the points that start the box and whisker start referring to quartiles. This is the first quartile, the end of the first quarter of data. This is the second quartile. It is the end point of the second quarter of the data. We also know this as the median of all the data. And this is the third quartile point, meaning the third quarter of the data. So our question is, what is the second quartile from the plot? So right here is the point that we're looking at. And if we kind of put a line straight down, we can see it's right one notch below 80. So this is 79. Our next question says write the third quartile from the plot. So we have the lower extreme, the first quartile, the second quartile, and the third quartile. As we look at that, it lines up with 89. Question C, what is the maximum number of balls in the tray? So that would be the end point of the box and whisker graph. And as we look at this and drop down a vertical line, and if this is on paper, I'd probably use a ruler to do this. That looks like it is 2 before 100, so that would be 98. So now let's move on to question 2. The National Library has research books kept in 12 racks. The information on the number of books kept in each rack is recorded, and thus a plot is made from it. Read the plot and answer the questions. So let's investigate this plot first. As we look at the number line, we can see once again it's going up by tens, the numbers that we see. However, the scale is by ones. So once again, let's review the points on the box and whisker. This is known as the lower extreme or the minimum amount. This point is referred to as the first quartile. This is the second quartile. It's also the median of all the data. And the third quartile. All of those quartiles make up this box. And yesterday, in yesterday's lesson, you were talked about the interquartile range. I for inter, Q for quartile, and R for range. So those are the points that make up the box. And when they're talking about the range, the interquartile range, they're talking about the range from this first quartile all the way to the third quartile. The last point is known as the maximum or upper extreme. So please look at the questions below and see if you can answer them on your own. After you've given yourself some time to answer through those, please look back at the video and check your answers. As we look at this first question, it asks us to write the first quartile of the given plot. So the first quartile is the beginning of the box, and if we draw a line down, it looks like it's about at 22. The next question, write the median from the above given plot. So the median is also known as the second quartile, and it matches up. This one's a little bit in between, so I would call that 30.5. And our last question asks, what is the minimum number of books kept in the rack? So the lowest point is the minimum, and that matches up with 15. Okay, please go on to the next page, page 9.